In this module, we're going to talk about how to put the Adsense code on your website so that you can position things in the right place. And specifically, we're going to cover two plugins for doing that. Now, your options for putting Adsense code on your site include plugins, and then sometimes if you have a theme, like I have Genesis on this website, I have a Genesis theme here, there are some theme settings, and occasionally you'll find a place to include ads in one of your themes that you buy. Not all themes have built-in spots where you can paste in your ad code. Some do, some don't. But I usually use plugins, and two of the plugins that I'm going to show you, the one that I use most frequently is Ad Injection. And then I'm also going to show you Easy plugin for AdSense. There are many free AdSense related plugins. I would encourage you, if you don't use one of these, to make sure that anyone that you select has a lot of downloads and a lot of ratings so that you don't accidentally pick something up that's either brand new or that people don't recommend. So we're just going to start by selecting Easy Plugin for AdSense, the settings, and I'll talk you through how we would do this. We'll scroll down to the setup area, and it's really easy. So here they have a lead-in AdSense text, and it says it appears near the beginning of the post. And then they have another one near the middle of the post, and another one post lead out, which appears at the end of the post. And that's pretty typical. And so what we do is go to our AdSense account, and if we already have an ad created here, we would click on Get Code, and then we just select and copy that code, and come over here to the plugin and just paste it in. And then we would scroll down and click Save Changes, and that's pretty much it. Now, as you can see, there are a number of options in this plugin. Even though it's an easy plugin, it has quite a few nice options. And this says how many ads maximum do you want on the page, and we say 3. It's usually better to use all that you can in most situations because you'll make more money if there are more ads on the page, but you can limit that if you like. And as I'll show you in the Ad Injection plugin, it has a lot more options for how you choose how many you want. Like you can do it based on how long the article is, and that's important. This plugin also lets you suppress AdSense ad blocks on certain pages. Like the home page, I rarely put ads on the home page. It just depends on where your traffic is, but a lot of times you want your home page to look prettier and not spammy with ads. That may not be your choice. You may have a different kind of website, or you might have pages like About Us or Contact Us and pages like that that you really don't want ads on, and so you may be able to, depending on what plugin you're using, exclude ads from those kinds of pages. And then you can see there's some other options here which I wouldn't pay too much attention to, but you can obviously research each of those. So it's real simple. You just paste the code in wherever you belong, wherever you want it to be placed using this add-in. Now this one doesn't give you quite the options of the other add-in, the other plugin that we're going to look at in just a moment. And then over here, if you want it in a widget, particularly in the sidebar kinds of widget, then you use this section of the screen. So let's go back to our list of plugins, and then we're going to look at Ad Injection, and we'll spend more time talking about it because it has more flexibility. And as you'll see here, the very first part of this plugin says, are the ads turned on or off, or do you want to use test mode? And test mode can be very handy at the beginning just to see where the ads will show up in your articles. Even if you haven't been approved by Google yet, you can use this just to see how your site would look if you put the ads where you hope to put them. And then this little area of the plugin lets you disable ads on different areas of your site. Like you can disable them on the home page or on single posts. These are your posts and these are your pages. So you can disable this kind of ad on this kind of page on your site. And then some other options to show ads on pages that are older or newer, for example, if you have a strategy with that in mind. And then in this placement settings area, It talks about here are the settings related to the top ad, which is typically going to appear right below the title of your article, which is one of the better places, as we discussed in the other module, to put an ad. And here it just says how many of this kind of ad do you want, and you would always leave that at 1. And then the really advanced function of this plugin is that it will insert random ads in the text of your article. And as you remember from the earlier module, putting the ads buried in the text of the article is really important for optimizing the financial performance of those. So if you look at these columns, this first column is about the single page and single posts, and that's where most of your AdSense activity is going to be. And this column is about home, and this is about archive. So we'll focus on this single column, we'll say, and in this particular website, we're saying a maximum of only 2 random ads per post. We know that this website's articles are not that long, so we don't want to include too many ads in them. But another way you can control that is you could say no ads. If the article is shorter than 200 words, for example, we don't want to put any random ads in the middle. We'll still put an ad at the top, and we'll put one at the bottom, but we don't want any ads inserted in the middle. And we might say that if the article is at least 400 words, for example, maybe we'll put an ad in the middle as well. And if the article is 1,000 words, maybe we'll put 2 ads in the middle. So that's how that works, and it's really kind of nice. And here we say, where do you want the random ads to start? So typically, I choose something like at, and then I say at paragraph 2. So I want to make sure I already know that there's going to be an ad at the very top of the article, and I want to make sure there's some amount of text between the top ad and the bottom ad. And what you need to do is experiment with this and change this from 2 to 3 to whatever it might be. If you have a whole bunch of paragraphs, maybe you need more. And if you have fewer, maybe this can be a lower number. And then stop the random ads. We can leave it at anywhere, or you can get more refined and actually pick a location below which you don't want any random ads to appear. So, and a couple of more options: allow multiple random ads to be injected to the same position. Now, you would never want to do that. That would be against AdSense policies. And then here's the same kinds of options for how many ads to display at the bottom of the post, and we will always leave this at a single ad. Now, in this section, this is where you actually paste in your ad code for the top ad. And over here, this is really important and very handy. The alignment, if you see float right selected here and float left, the float means that the text of the article will wrap around the ad, and that's exactly what you want. If we were to select just simply right or left, then there would be no text wrapping around the ad. It would start after the ad, and the same way with center. And you can also, in this plugin, select random float, and so it would float either left or right at random. And some people ascribe to this philosophy because it keeps the user guessing, and the ad isn't always in the same place. And there's a concept called ad blindness, where people begin to just ignore ads if they're always in the same place. So some people use this. I typically leave it at right because I know that the people aren't staying on this site very long. Most every user who comes to the site is a new user, so there's not really ad blindness associated with that setup. And then you have all of these same choices. You can put padding around the ad and say how much that you want. And you can even specify different kinds of ads. If your friend had an AdSense account and you agreed that you would share the revenue for this website, you could display their ads half the time and your ads 50% of the time to split the revenue. So there's a lot of really handy features in this plugin. Another one that's really important is down here. These are called filters, but essentially what they're saying is that if you don't want ads in particular categories on your site or particular articles that tag with a certain tag value or particular authors, then you can add a filter um, it says like only show in or never show in a particular category. Like if I didn't want ads to show in education, then I could select education here and never show the ads in education. So there's a lot of different flexibility in precluding ads from showing up using this plugin. And it always works the same way. You just go to your AdSense account, grab this code, copy it, paste the right code into the right box. Like if that ad was intended and labeled as top, then you would paste it up here. If you want it in the center, you would paste it here, and the bottom ad, of course, would be pasted here. So that's about it in terms of how you get your AdSense ads onto the site itself. In the next module, we'll talk about the AdSense dashboard.